Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Pilotfly AtomCUBE RX1 video light. Now, of course, this is an LED light, RGB capable, app controllable, but most importantly, at $169 US, you can group these. I think that Pilotfly claims up to 255 lights can be controlled through their app. Of course, it's available both for iOS and Android. So that is probably the most impressive feature. We've also got a diffuser on the right, as well as a honeycomb grid on the left. So those are just additional accessories, and they also make something they did not send me, which allows the lights to be mounted together. So essentially you can group them essentially into a panel of these units. So if you have 4 of them, you can group them. Even with 2, you could attach them. But again, I did not get that. Now, before I get it out of the box, just so you know, 2500 to 8500K is your range, 360 degrees hue in terms of the saturation control, aluminum chassis. Of course, this is a pocketable light, just like, you know, the Andy Cine Bowling P1 or the Falcon Eyes F7. But as I've mentioned, a little bit more unique in the app control and grouping, and furthermore, firmware updates. And I believe that Pilotfly is going to deliver those. No reason to actually suggest it if you're not going to do it. And Pilotfly has a reputation for standing behind products. So I believe that they're actually going to try to improve this. Of course, we have lighting effects, the integrated battery that's in there, which you can, of course, power with a battery pack in the event that it's completely drained, is rated at 4,000 milliamp hours. And it does have some quarter 20 mounts on it, I believe, so that's also a nice feature. Beyond that, the Bluetooth is going to give you about a 30-foot range on this, but let me go ahead and get these out of the box because you already got the rundown. So again, at $170, I think that it's, you know, it's right there in line with all of the other pocketable LEDs on the market, but as I've mentioned, it has some defining characteristics that set it apart. And that's why, you know, when I saw that it's not just another pocketable video light, I said, let's go. Because this is, in my opinion, I think the only light, it's not my opinion, other than the Aperture portable video light that can be app controlled. And then having the ability to group them is just, you know, icing on the cake. So right here we have specs. Going to go ahead and throw that up. You have questions, the specs have answers, and I covered a lot of these already. About 3 hours of runtime is the estimated battery life. Of course, I will see if it stands up to that, but let's go ahead and get it out of there. You know, it also comes with a carry case, I believe, and I don't really need a knife for this, do I? I'll do this by hand. And I appreciate accessories like this because they make a lot of sense. Well, that side was easy by hand. I might have to use the knife for this one because I don't really have nails, believe it or not. Yeah, the knife's coming in. But overall, these can be lifesavers, you know, whether you want to use it as a key light or for video effects. They just have a really broad range of capability. So we've got paperwork there in the bottom, warranty card. Put that aside. We have an L bracket as well as our Type-C cable. Let me go ahead and pop that out. And that's what I really love about these, is that they're incredibly flexible, go anywhere, do anything lighting solutions, unlike, you know, what you would traditionally use in a studio. So the L bracket is just going to give you more flexibility, the ability to actually angle the light. Type-C charging cable, they're not giving you an adapter. You'll have to take care of that on your own. And then as I get this out, it is already seated in the carry case. And the carry case is pretty nice. I mean, you know, I've seen cases like this before, obviously, for lights like this, but good to have a case. You know, they don't all come with cases. Now, the first thing you'll notice is, you know, fit and finish, and I'll tell you right now, is solid on this. And that's, you know, not a distinct thing. It's something I expect at this price point with a product like this. We have our readout right there, our HSI index right there. On the right side, this rocker is going to control functions, and if it's like the other lights that I've tested in the past, pressing in, which it does press in, is going to be your select capability. Set is this button right here, which is going to allow you to set your settings in place. Type-C port for charging. Up at the top, this is the power switch, so let's go ahead and power it on. First thing I notice out of the box is that that did take a little bit of time to power up, and the light is not actually on, and you can see that it's not because it's at 0 intensity. Out of the box, set to 2500K, again the range up to 8500. I'm going to go ahead and crank that up, but before I do it, I want to also point out the mounting points here. I think it's nice that they've built these on. That's something that I haven't seen on other lights, and something I welcome, because even though they've included a bracket, which is really for positioning, good to have quarter 20 and additional sizes on board already. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get that going. I don't think I missed anything else. Oh, over here, we have another dial. So, okay, so that is your intensity right there. You can see it bringing up light as we speak. And you know what I'll do? I'll just keep it right here, slightly out of frame, but you'll at least see the color, the light output. If I go ahead and go into function, this is where now we're playing with the hue, or at least that was what I thought. It's giving me up to 30% there. Okay. And essentially you can lock it in, I believe, that way. Just playing with it here. We don't have a full charge out of the box, so you'll have to forgive me if I don't get through all of the light functions. In fact, this is just an unboxing, as I mentioned, but I will eventually. So now I just hit the set button, and that took us into the actual hue. So I correct myself there, and you can see it on the readout, and you know, it's flickering a little bit, but the hue is 200 degrees, saturation is 100%, and that pretty much lines up with their index right there. If you can see it still, if I go ahead and again use this dedicated dial for adjusting the brightness level, you can see it's fairly gradual and also fast, so that's nice. If I go ahead and hit set again, we're at red, but I'm not seeing, let's see. Okay, now we're in effects. Let's go ahead and cycle that. So this is lightning, and we have several modes. I mean, the beauty of this light is that the best way to control it is going to be inside of the app. You know, all of these lights have these onboard controls, and some are great, some are not very special. They're all a bit of a pain in the butt, frankly, and that's not to say that they're not straightforward and usable, but from what I've seen, because I have taken a look at their app already, it is the more straightforward way of controlling hue, saturation, and the brightness of the light. So something to keep in mind. But I mean, what I'm seeing here, I mean, seems very usable. I like that they've given us, I feel like there's more dedicated control on this light, so that's a good thing. And you know, the effects, I think there are 9 different effects, so this may not be the king of the hill on effects, but I mean, that's really just an added bonus to one of these lights. I don't look at the effect as being what you're really trying to get out of something like this. So I'm going to test it, play with it more. As I mentioned, we've got, you know, a diffuser as well as a grid. So this is sealed, but I'm going to just try to pull it out without breaking said seal, but I may have to, so let's just break the seal. And this is another thing that I think is good about this product, because a lot of these pocket lights do not have grids, like the Bowling P1 that I have right here. No grid for that, no diffuser for that, and this has actually been customized. Now you can see it is hiding the index for the hue, but I don't think that's a big deal. You can still see it for the most part. It's fairly transparent, but the important thing is that if you're using the app, that renders all of this moot, right? I mean, because with the app, it won't make any difference. So if I go ahead and just pop this back on, and so we're at 100% at 2600K. Let me go ahead and take us up to 8500K, and you just get the effect here of the transition, taking us all the way back down to 2500K. I mean, in terms of accuracy, I mean, I'll have to test it and see where it lies, but again, we're back at 8500, stepping it down to 5200 right there, and then 2500. And then if I dial down brightness, this is nothing on. So that gives you an idea of what this can throw, the range in terms of 2500 to 8500K. And then, of course, the lighting effects, the RGB capability is something I will play with more. I'll do an update on this, of course, giving full impressions, showing the app control, because I think that's, again, one of the coolest parts. And then, as I mentioned, I have two of them. And the reason Pilotfly sent two is because these do sync and are controllable, again, up to 30 feet away over Bluetooth. So I think Aperture, as I mentioned already, is the only other light in this class that can do that, and that is important. And just for, you know, scale, the Bowling P1, roughly the same size, and then the Falcon Pocket Light F7, the Falcon Eyes, much larger than either of these. And they're all roughly the same price. I've found the battery life in the Falcon Eyes to be the least of the group. That could have to do with the fact that it's physically larger. I don't know. But I will give you an update on this and eventually compare all three, even though I have a feeling this is going to be the one to take the crown. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.